In this video, I'm going to share all about a writing curriculum that we have used and loved, and I would recommend it for any beginner writers or any resistant writers, or if you just really want to go back to scratch and just make sure they have a strong foundation in the early basics of writing. So if you're interested in all that is homeschooling and writing and curriculum, stick around. So I have shared about this curriculum many times in the past. Several of my language arts videos for all the grades, we have used this curriculum from the beginning, and I've used it for both of my students, and it is called Writing with Ease. This is the level 1 book. Now, I have unfortunately loaned my books to someone who has never returned it. And so I used to have all the books, and now I only have the ones that we're currently using this year, and I'll probably have to go out and buy all of them all over again. But I would do that because these books are just that good. So this is something that I feel is really in line with a Charlotte Mason curriculum. But if you are not Charlotte Mason, this is actually written by Susan Wise Bauer, and she is a curriculum writer for classical education that does not align itself with Charlotte Mason in other ways. But in this way, I really feel that it is very in line with Charlotte Mason, but anyone could use it for no matter what style of homeschooling you do. It really hones in on the basics of writing and really builds up a firm foundation in understanding how to build a good sentence and then a good paragraph and so forth. And I really think that this is the best curriculum to start with for writing. There are tons of writing curriculum out there. I have tried several of them. And the difference I find is that in other writing curriculum, they are focusing in on several different writing components. They're focusing in on different techniques, really more of a skill in a more a technical sense, teaching different techniques and technicalities of writing. Whereas this book is just focused on first, level 1, writing a good sentence, putting together your thoughts, and writing it out very clearly and concisely. And then as it builds to the higher levels, you are writing out a clear and concise paragraph, and it grows and grows from there. Now, why I say it's very much in line with Charlotte Mason is that what it is essentially doing is learning how to write a good narration. Now, a lot of Charlotte Mason curricula, in fact, all of them that I've ever used bits and parts of, you will read a book, a living book to your child. You'll read a passage and then ask them to narrate back to you. But there is nothing else there for the teacher to help your student figure out, well, what is a good narration? And in fact, we're really sort of taught, or we think that we're taught, that writing a good narration is really kind of in the eye of the beholder. You're not correcting their narrations. You might just correct some grammar in terms of, is it really a full sentence? But ideally, there's no instruction to say correct your child's narration. Just get them to write back a narration. Write it one sentence, write 2 to 3, and you gradually increase the length of a narration over time. But there's no instruction in a Charlotte Mason curriculum or in a Charlotte Mason program that's telling you how do you make sure your student even knows what a good narration is versus a bad narration, and is there even a bad narration? Well, I believe that there is, and I believe that if you aren't correcting your kids' writing, then they're really building up a foundation of poor writing, and then they're moving on from there, and they may always struggle with being able to write well. So in a Charlotte Mason curriculum, for those of you who do follow Charlotte Mason, those who don't, what you will know is that Charlotte Mason teaches writing in 2 ways. You do copy work, which is copying out sentences, often from passages from books that you are reading that are well-written sentences by the author. And they are copying out that sentence, and by copying it out, they're visualizing it, they're reading it, and they're understanding this is a great sentence. And then secondly, you're reading them great books and asking them to narrate back what they can recall from the passages. And they're writing out their own narration. Now, of course, in the beginning, they may not be so great, but over time, the idea is that they will build and get better and better and better over time. And I think most of the time that probably is true, but I often keep hearing about students who continue to struggle, who continue to write poor sentence structure that don't necessarily make sense and things like that. And then how do you, as the teacher, correct those things? And are you supposed to correct those things? How, if they're just not catching on to what the good writing should look like, especially with students that have who are neurodivergent, who may learn in a different way. A classical Charlotte Mason approach might not be the best approach for them to fully understand what is a good sentence. So here comes in what Susan Wise Bauer does differently in Writing with Ease. So Writing with Ease is her very first level of her writing. She has several different writing series, and this is the step one. Level 1 can be started as early as grade 1, but you could also hold off if you feel that they're not ready. When I first started, my first daughter, she really whined and complained about any kind of handwriting. Her hand grew tired very quickly, and she just was not enjoying school because of any kind of handwriting. And so for in grade 1, I kept handwriting to a minimum. Now, I wasn't familiar with Charlotte Mason at that time, and I wasn't familiar with the idea that the child could orally narrate to you and then you could write out their narrations for them. So just hearing the words Writing with Ease, I decided to skip any kind of writing curriculum for grade 1, and we began Writing with Ease in grade 2 for my older daughter. But my younger daughter, who is in grade 1 this year, is doing Writing with Ease level 1, and she is able to track along just fine with it. My older daughter would have as well. I just wasn't sure because she hated handwriting so much, that I didn't think I would add any writing in. I would just do more gentle, and we just did grammar. We did first language lessons, which did have a little bit of copywork in it as well. And so we didn't do this, but this can be done as early as grade 1. And even for more advanced students, I'd say you could even really do this in kindergarten if they're already know how to write all of their letters. They're learning how to, some kids are early readers and writers. So you could do this even for that because it starts off very, very gentle. And how this works, because it is a classical, the writer is writing from a classical perspective. Each week you are reading passages from different classic pieces of literature. For example, we read from Little House on the Prairie, we read from Pinocchio. This past week we are reading from Mary Poppins, and you're reading short passages in the beginning, so about a half a page, where they are, I will get my children to kind of close their eyes and just listen and focus on as many details, try to retain as many details of the story as possible. But how this is different from just simply saying, listen to the story, now narrate back to me, is that in a chronological order, the book gets you to ask the students very specific questions, asking what happened first, what happened second, some details like what were the things they placed out on the table, and things like that. A lot of details from the story in chronological order from beginning to the end of that passage, what happened in the story. And you are to encourage your student to always answer back in a full sentence. Now, of course, when they start out, they don't know what a full sentence means. Students want to always answer back with just the answer. What color was the tablecloth? Red. Well, that's not a sentence. Can you say it? And I might start off with it. Oh, it was red. Well, that is a full sentence. So you're going to help them, guide them through that. And I always have to remind, often with every single question, answer back with a full sentence. Start off with she or he or it, and then go on from there so that they can be reminded and they can start thinking of the writing first in their mind in full sentences. After you've asked them all those questions in chronological order, Then you're going to say, can you tell me one thing you remember from the passage? Now, if they are okay with handwriting and they haven't done way too much handwriting in the day, you can get them to write it out themselves. You can write it out for them and get them to copy it. What I do is I just get my daughter to tell me her narration and I write it out for her, and then I get her to read it because she's an excellent reader. So that is what we do. But you can also get them to copy it out, get them to write it. It's just that they have to now tell back. Orally is always the best way to start, and Charlotte Mason agrees with that as well, because we do build our sentences first in our minds. We want to say what that sentence will be before we translate it to paper. And so we do the same thing that Charlotte Mason would do in here. So in 1 week, you're reading two passages. So on day 1, you will read a passage from a particular classic work. And then on day 2, you're going to copy out a sentence that they have selected. They give you 2 options, a shorter one and a slightly longer one. You can choose, or they can choose which one they want to copy out. On day 3, you're going to read another passage with questions and a narration. And then day 4, it's another copy work. And over time, we are now on week 6 with my younger daughter in this book. And over time, they become quite successful at figuring out what a full sentence is. And she gets really excited about telling me her narration. And she actually sometimes will just go, she doesn't want to just give one sentence. She wants to give many sentences. And she sometimes wants to retell the story. And that's great, I let her, because it also allows her to, she retells it in her own words, the way she has interpreted the story, the way she might have pictured their reactions, and she adds her own flair to them, and that's great. And sometimes if she says something that's not a grammatical sentence, a grammatically correct sentence, then I will correct it and say, well, no, that's not right. How can you reword that again? And we'll go back and reword those sentences. But that is how this works, and it really is a great basis. I hear a lot of moms tell me that their kids don't know how to write a proper sentence, and they don't make sense. The sentences aren't structured well, and they just don't make sense grammatically. When you break it down to one sentence, can you give me one grammatic, and over time they can build on that. Now, I don't have level 2 or level 4. So writing with ease goes from level 1 to 4. Level 1, I guess, said could start in grade 1, and level 4 could be done in grade 4 or for higher up. But what she does say is that once they have mastered writing with ease level 3, and they mastered it, it's easy. They have no issues with it. They do not need to do writing with ease level 4, because writing with ease level 4 is no more challenging. They are not learning anything further, and it's really just more review for those students that might need 1 extra year of more writing before they move into other writing curriculum that get into all that technical stuff. So my daughter just did up to writing with ease level 3, my older daughter, and she was doing excellent with it. She really had been doing excellent with it as soon as we started her in grade 2 with level 1. She learned very quickly how to write excellent sentences and paragraphs. And that doesn't just come from me being her mother. I have had we've joined several co-ops, and so several moms and other people have had a chance to read her writing, and they have said she really is a great writer. And I really attribute that not to me, but to this curriculum, because through this, she was able to think through how to chronologically and in a detailed way write back all the things that she has read about. And she excels in doing this in all of her subjects, be it history or geography or literature. She's able to write very thorough, well-organized, and grammatically correct narrations. And it does help to have that instruction. It won't necessarily happen naturally for all students. It might, but it doesn't always. And so I think having this instruction, even for your students that maybe don't necessarily need it, kind of fine-tuning all those details and helping them go through and think through the stories chronologically in an ordered way is really helpful. So when you then move on to other writing curriculum, there's a lot of options out there, and that's not what this video is really about. But this is just foundational writing sentences, the simplest form of writing that can be applied to writing reports, to creative writing, to writing essays, and all those kinds of things. It's the foundation for that. And then you may want to, because a lot of people associate writing with creative writing. Well, there's all different forms of writing. So Susan Wise-Bauer has a couple of different options. Now, this is the one that she recommends to do next, although it's quite a bit heavier. And so she doesn't recommend starting this any earlier than grade 5. So even if, say, in level 3 you decide to skip it, I don't think this would be good to do next for grade 4. You might want to do a different subject in between, a different writing curriculum in between while you're waiting for this one. This really could even start at grade 6 or 7 because each lesson is quite long. It's meant for them to do completely independently. This is the student workbook. I have the teacher's guide that mirrors everything about it, but this is teaching them the technical tools for writing reports and essays, including outlining and different strategies for putting together all of your chronological points and how to build them into proper paragraphs, and where to start a paragraph and where to end it and begin a next one. That stuff is not covered in Writing with Ease. That would be what you would get in this. And then she also has a creative writer curriculum, which is just for creative writing, which would be more on teaching how to first diversify the language that you're using and how to structure it, and still even making a spine for your story so that you know how you want to put that story together and things like that. So she's actually doing both of these. We only do this once a week, and this one she does every day. It's 4 days a week, the way Writing with Ease is. So Writing with Ease is set up to do 4 days a week. And we've also done this one, which is also a creative writing book as well. But I've seen many people just get into this for teaching your kids how to write. And if your kids are struggling with even putting together a sentence or a few sentences, or putting together their thoughts, or understanding how to order how they want to structure what they want to say, I really highly recommend this. This is excellent. It begins very gentle, and really I've never seen any students struggle with this. The mom who borrowed this from me, her daughter was really struggling with writing. She had read Olivia's writing and said, "What do you use?" And so I've given them to her, and I probably won't get them back, but they're excellent, and I just highly, highly, highly recommend these. You know, you may think that your children have a good understanding of writing narration in their Charlotte Mason curriculum, but a lot of students can use just a little bit of extra help in thinking through how they want to structure those sentences, because there really is such a thing as good writing and bad writing. And that may not get reflected in your homeschool, but later on in college and university or in the workplace, it will show when you aren't able to write well. And so you want to give your children the best foundation that you can from the beginning. Well, that's all I have for you. I thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.